What is up, G Crew? I finally feel decent. Decent being relative. Decent being, geesh, that was bad. I ran a 104 to 105 temperature from basically like 9 o'clock at night until I finally gave up at 5 o'clock in the morning and was just shivering and puking. And it's everything that I remembered COVID was and so much more. And the reason for that was so for my they're looking into some inflammatory autoimmune response things, and so I'm on a corticoid steroid, and that essentially takes down my immune system. So COVID just kind of had just open open attack. So that sucked, right? So here we are, we're through it. Get Paxlovid as soon as you can if you get COVID, as that stuff really helps. So anyways, fun little trip to the ER. I tend to be a regular now, I guess. Today, I'm going to talk about 5 stages, and this actually came from the philosopher Rob Dyrdek, of all people. And he's actually, if you haven't followed him, he was the TV personality on MTV, Robin Big, and then he had some shows like Ridiculous and stuff like that. But what's really cool about Rob is he's a local guy. He comes from Kettering, which is not too far from where I live. So he was kind of a local boy, and he does a lot for local, but he's also a genius in the background. He's one of those guys that's like self-made. He comes up with these ideas and he pitches them, and he's very, he's an intelligent dude, but he's a good spirit, right? So I watched him the other day, and this is kind of my spin on it, but same premise, and it helped me a little bit process some things that I do in my personal life, but also things that I did in my triathlon life and even continue to still do in my life. So I'm going to speak more from the life standpoint, but I want you to copy it in the ways that you can to triathlon. So there's 5 states that we basically operate in, and number 1 is in the middle finger here. That is present, living here, living now, living in the moment of enjoying the workout, enjoying the process, enjoying how far you've come to get here. This is unfortunately one that people don't spend a ton of time in for a multitude of reasons. I mean, mainly just because life is really hard, and so we get on negative pathways, and it's really hard to get off those. And I'm certainly on one of those myself, where it's like I've been trying not to die for so long that it's really hard to just be happy, right? So it's really hard to be present these days. Number 5, so the more extreme, the pinky finger over here. This is future fear. So future fear is worry about finances, worry about health, worried about that race coming up, worried about your nutrition, worried about your swim, worried about your bike, worried about your run, worried about your spouse, worried about your kid, worry. But the point of the stage 5 is that it's an overcorrection. It is consumed with fear. There's no productive future to it. So that's number 4. So ring finger. Number 4. That's going to be, what do you call it? Future production. So that's where you are thinking about the future, but you are not actively worrying about it. You are actively working on it. So instead of going into that stage 5 where you're worried about that swim, you're in stage 4. You're working on that swim. You're working on future production. So that can be working on the business, that can be working on your swim, that can be working on your nutrition, that can be working on understanding some of the things and some of the crutches that you use. But instead of worrying about it, you are actively working on it. So we'll call that one future active. I like that better. So we've got staying in the present, we've got future active, and we've got future worry, okay? And then we have the other swing. So we have the past, and we have 2 levels of the past, and we have past worry, so all the way over here at the thumb. So that's where we're thinking about that stupid thing we said in high school. We're thinking about that person that we wronged. We're thinking about how that person wronged us. We're thinking about negative things, and it's all just anxiety ridden frustration, so stress. So old races that you did bad at, eating habits that you're starting over again, drinking habits that you're starting over again, so many things, right? Things you said, things you should have said, things you didn't say, all that stuff. And then there's there's past progressive. So working on taking those things from the past and applying them to the future. So you're taking something positive. And so the whole structure of this is worry, positive, being present, positive, and worry. Okay, so there's 5 stages, and they're bookended by the one that you don't want to be in. And so the goal of figuring out how to be happy, and that's a really screwed up one, because you're never going to be really happy, as it's not, you're asking for like perfection, and we know for certain that cannot be, and for some reason we continue to ask for it. So the key is to figure out how to stay in the 3 range, right? To not go to the future worry and not go to the past worry, because it's very unproductive. It's very exhausting. It sets you up to start doing the same thing tomorrow. And so for me, I'm pretty introspective, and I do study psychology, and I like to understand why I'm doing things I'm doing, and so I am more progressive in that nature. But it's easy to slip into those worries, man. I have very little to worry about, minus my health. But it's so easy, man. This world just beats you down. As soon as it's something, like, it's something else, right? So as soon as life gets good and you get money in the bank, the car breaks down, or you got to go to the hospital, or the, you know, the nice new car gets a fucking rock chip in it that wasn't there yesterday for some reason. True story. So staying in bounds here, and it didn't help me really like do anything different. It's just helped me think about, what stage am I in right now? Where am I hanging out in? And sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm in worry. Like I've been worrying for an hour about this thing. It's like, okay, well maybe if I stop being a child and go to stage 4 where I work on it, I can get out of this a little bit quicker. So for some of you guys are worried about, you know, how's that bike gonna go? And it's like, okay, well, what can we do? What can we do? For you guys doing Chattanooga coming up, how can you look for some climbing strategies? You know, go online, go, how do I ride my bike the best? So spend some time authentically doing something positive towards future you, instead of being like, oh my gosh, sit down and write out your nutrition plan. Get prepared. You know, look at the week, look at the course maps. Do positive things. That's the way we overcome staying in this stage 5 or stage 1 where we're just worried about things. And then figuring out how to be present. I don't really know what to tell you about that, because I don't think any of us really stay present these days. I think we're present in the sense of we're actively doing things right now, but I think it's really hard to stay present these days. So I think we all have to actively choose that. There's an actor, Michael Cera, I think that's his name, the goofy kid from Superbad and stuff like that. He actually doesn't have a smartphone, and he said he's worried that he'll just lose his autonomy. And I thought that was really insightful, because it kind of does strip us. We have kind of become autonomous. It's just that the connection is a phone instead of some brain chip, but nonetheless, we're connected to this thing, right? So thinking about how to stay more present might be more of a long-term thinking about like how you run your life and how you can run your life, and how to maybe get some new strategies for that. So, but what I want you guys to think about in life and in this triathlon thing is making sure that you stay in the middle here. Stay in the middle. Stay in past positive, where you're taking what you learned, even though it might be painful. And trust me, dude, I've done some stupid things. I have been wronged very terribly. I have wronged people very terribly. And I have learned an immense amount. And so a lot of times we tend to think, and from a psychological perspective, memories aren't there to remind you that you're a terrible person. They are there to remind you that you shouldn't do that shit again. That's what those are there for. They're actually there for lessons, but we don't treat them like that. We treat them like, oh gosh, I'm a terrible person. You're not a terrible person, dude. You just woke up this morning and you're a human, and so you're going to screw up. You're going to screw up by the end of the day. And then staying in future positive. Take those worries, and I'm not saying you're not going to slip into stage 5 or into stage 1, because you're definitely going to do it, especially in the triathlon world where things are big and scary and you don't know what the weather's going to be, and am I going to get kicked in the face, and is somebody going to unclip in front of me at the start finish line? I mean, there's just like, I could go on for fucking days. But instead, when you start to get worried, identify that you're in a worry state and back it off and say, okay, how can I overcome this? And I think through this state of being, state of thought, we can start to make stage 1, 2, 3 our stages. Because I look at some people, and I'm sure you guys do the same, where they are just so positive. My UPS guy, dude, I swear he's like the zenest dude. He is just thankful, and I'm just like, we gravitate towards those people, right? You know, he's just a happy dude, and I'm like, how do you do that? What's your secret? So who knows? He could be, you know, terribly consumed by things, but we look at people from that perspective, right? So, but my goal is to get back on with what my coaching has been in the past, in the positive ways that I want to take it. And so part of it's getting back to these videos, getting back to the theological side of things, and hopefully improving you guys not only as athletes and getting you healthy and fast and having a great year, which I mean we are set up for an amazing year, especially for how awful the winter was for all of us. Oh my goodness, hallelujah, man. So we're here, it's nice out, it's gonna be riding weather, we're gonna get to play with our friends, we're gonna be doing events, dude. It is fun season, dude. So all right, think about those things. 5, when you start to get stressed out, think about what stage am I in. So, love you guys.